the pinnacle of automotive achievement. Performance meets design, meets luxury, meets style. It's everything that you expect from the brand known as Mercedes-Benz. It's the best or nothing. It's the flagship, the special class, the Sonder class. This is the all-new Mercedes-Benz S-Class, the 2021 S580. And now I'm going to take you on a test drive. So one of the first differences you notice from a design standpoint on the all-new S-Class is as you work your way along the sign, the new door handles. The door handles retract into the vehicle. You can simply brush your handle on the outside of this door handle and it will present itself to you. There's actually motors built into these door handles now where when you go ahead and open it up, just gives it a nice solid feel. Very, very smart door handles. It's actually going to know as you approach the car, as you get close to the vehicle, it's actually going to present the door handles to you when you have the key. Of course, to lock the vehicle, you can simply let it re-retract, or you can brush the sensor on the outside to retract the handle whenever the car is, of course, not running and the key is not in the vehicle. Something else always notable on an S-Class is the soft closed door feature. So, of course, simply bring the S-Class door to the door seam and you will notice that the door pulls itself closed for you. As we work our way around the side of the car, there are all new wheels offered for the S-Class. So this is one of the all new wheels. You're going to see lots of different wheel options, including of the 20-inch, 19-inch variety. We're also offering some 21-inch wheels now on the new S-Class. New headlight design. This is, of course, everything all being LED. And you're now notice in terms of the headlamp design, they of course have both the intelligent lights with the multi-beam LED technology, where you actually have the ability to have individualized beams of light shining out at different angles of the headlamp itself. This gives you not only automatic headlights and adaptive high beams and daytime running lights, but it also means that the lights are actually going to adapt based on the road surface. So they're going to corner for you, they're going to move up and down, and again, this is all without the need for an actual physical moving fixture. This is beams of light at different angles outside of the headlamp itself. Very, very cool stuff. New grille. This has been totally redesigned up front. So in addition to how the lights are, they have changed up the slat design of the front. Everything all split with these little lamellas up front, kind of like how the MBUX have looked in past generations, past years. You'll notice, of course, the front-facing camera can pull out of the grille here itself. And of course, in Mercedes fashion, we have to have the standing star on the S-Class, so it being the flagship vehicle in the Mercedes lineup. As we work our way on the side, some new sort of skirt designs along the side here in the chrome will kind of mirror the sort of chrome accents that you see around the window trim and then on the door handle accents themselves. New sort of slimmer line mirror design here, the way that this angles down, again, to help with the drag coefficient. One of the big changes to the new S-Class, cutting down on this coefficient of drag. New mirror designs, new retractable handles. So making the car cut through the air a lot better. So it's improving your aerodynamics, it's improving your fuel efficiency, it's improving the performance, it's making the car quieter. All very, very key stuff. Around back, all new taillight design. So this is sort of stemming off of most of our coupes at Mercedes-Benz. This sort of two-part tail lamp design where part of your tail lamp runs into where it starts on the trunk lid itself. Speaking of the trunk, of course, a lot of space in the trunk. Tons of very cool Mercedes-Benz accessories that come with this car, including your air balance system for in the glove box, some new removable ashtrays or coin holders that you can pop into some of the cup holders, of course front license plate frame, first aid kit, so on and so forth. There's a ton of space in the trunk, as always on an S-Class. Everything's of course electronic to open and close the trunk. And something else nice, of course, the full glass panorama roof. So everything on your roof of the S-Class is glass. All right, so the back seat of an S-Class. It's comfortable. There's a lot of space. It's one of the best parts about this car is there is not a bad seat in the cabin. I mean, you have so much room in the back of an S-Class, same as you would, of course, expect to have up front. So many creature comforts back here, which I think is awesome. We got all sorts of vent controls. We have vents down here. We have vents up top that we can fully control. We have hangers and light controls and all sorts of hooks and areas to put things. We have speakers all throughout the cabin, speakers up top, speakers in the ceiling here, speakers on the side. We got window controls. You can, of course, control all sorts of stuff with the windows. You can actually control all the windows in the car from the back seat, which is pretty awesome. We have shade controls in the back here. We have the ability to adjust heat and ventilation for the rear seats. We have memory for the seating. We have capacitive-based touch controls in the back where we can move around the rear seats, slide the seats. We have 2 USB-C ports and a 2-prong 115-volt outlet here. We have an additional pop-down section in the center for a tablet holder and additional charging ports, slot for your phone, things of that nature. Even a very cool center pass-through 2-way door where if you want to run things through to the trunk, you can do that as well. So many cool amenities. We even have pillows back here. We can control the sunshade back here. We can control rear shades. I mean, we got all sorts of controls back here that we can run and control. I can control this shade behind me here in the rear window. I mean, honestly, I'm still just kind of liking the pillow. I think I'll be back in a few. All right, so the 2021 S-Class. S580 specifically. So they are offering, of course, as always, various engines in the S-Class. First two to be offered for the new model year is the S500, taking the place of the S450. So that's our new inline 6. It's been retuned, a little more power. And you, of course, have the 580, which is what we have here. S580, of course, giving you the 8-cylinder V8 option. And you, of course, have the EQ boost in both models as well. So that's the 48-volt electric system. The integrated starter generator paired between the engine and transmission gives you some additional power, especially when you first put your foot down. You're looking at about 180 pound-feet of torque, which is kicking in almost instantaneously for you due to that 48-volt electric system. Helps in a lot of ways. Helps in fuel economy, helps when it comes to the power and the performance of the car. And anything now with the EQ type systems on the Mercedes-Benz will feature this EQ gauge down here on the bottom where you can see the power and charge gauge on the EQ monitor at the bottom. Very, very cool system, nice and efficient. Something else I'm definitely noticing just on the first drive here is how silky smooth this automatic economy start-stop system has become. It's amazing to see iteration after iteration how smooth and how now you really don't even notice when the car shuts the engine off and turns it back on. It's really amazing how smooth that system's gotten. You, of course, do have a switch for it right below where the engine start-stop button is. This is a totally new layout as well. The new engine button for the S-Class. Speaking of new, there's a lot of new. A lot of controls have changed right off the get-go. These are all new here, the shifter look. So you got a new sort of silver look here on the shifter as well as on the wiper control across. Just a very nice, elegant feel and look to the car. Love the feel of the steering wheel too on this car, man, with the different wood options and you got Napa leather on the steering wheel and new button layout. Kind of like how the new E-classes are, where you have this whole new layout to the steering wheel. Everything's all touch capable. It's cool. There's not actually really any physical buttons on the steering wheel now. Everything's all touch based. So whether you're controlling like audio volume, or you're controlling making and ending a call and talking to the car, and everything all being touch is very, very cool. You know, in the section of the road I'm taking it on right now, I drive on this all the time, and there's so many little bumps and divots and stuff on the road here, and it's amazing when you're in an S-Class, you don't feel anything. I mean, it's funny, it's still fun, it still handles great, and you still, feel like you're obviously driving, but you just don't feel the, inconsistencies on the road. You just don't feel the bumps and the grooves and the potholes and stuff like that when you're in one of these. You also don't realize how easy it is to get up to speed in an S-Class. It's amazing how cruising 50, 60, 70 miles an hour in an S-Class just feels effortless. So again, tons of changes with the new model year. I know one of the first things everyone notices when they get into one of the new S-Classes is, of course, how all the displays have changed, right? Speaking of the displays, something that's coming up already on our main display here is something called traffic light view. This is a part of the augmented reality system on the car, where there's actually a front-facing camera that quite literally could see we were sitting at a traffic light. The stereo cameras on this car are so intelligent that they're able to make out traffic lights and intersections. They're actually even able to go as far as to make out house numbers and street numbers and stuff when you're driving along and you're looking for a certain destination. That same central part of the head unit here features a dash cam where it can actually keep track, if you'd like, being able to monitor things as you're driving. God forbid an accident happens, something bumps into your car, there's parking damage, any of that kind of stuff. The the vehicle having a dash cam can keep track of this information for you. If we are navigating somewhere, we can actually hop into the display, and as long as we have a destination in the system, we can see where our turns are upcoming. Here, I'll try it out once so you can sort of see how it looks. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help?
Navigate to 5053 US Route 30 Greensburg.
Here is what I found. Where do you want to go?
So you'll notice it found where I was after, which is actually the dealership address. So it's of course going to want me to turn around. We're going to keep driving, but just so you can sort of see, of course you still have your visual aid on the screen. Again, with the AR, how cool is this? So we can actually see the information on the screen where I can actually see the turn upcoming. Now, of course, we still recommend that you use your glass, you know, that you look at your windshield, that you use your mirrors, but how cool is that you can see your turn upcoming on the actual screen? It's showing me where and how to turn on the actual display. Now, speaking of the display, there are 20 some less buttons, something like 28 less buttons now on the new display. So one of the big things Mercedes was talking up with the new OLED display, and when you see it in person, it's incredibly impressive. Not having all these individual physical keys anymore, not having a controller down here. It's amazing how they've been able to integrate everything into the central display here. You have a home key always present, a back key always present, the ability to control the climate control here always present on the screen. And just about anything you can see, you can touch. So if you're wanting to adjust something as simple as the clock or adjust something as simple as the nav, you can quite literally click wherever you see something and it will take you to that page, which is very, very cool. So it is super fast response. Now for S-Class is equipped with the head unit up here where you have the heads-up display. You have the ability to pull up this augmented reality on your heads-up display and quite literally see this upcoming turn on your screen, on your windshield, which is pretty awesome. So you can see your turn in real time on the road, which is pretty neat. And definitely one of the best things about the S-Class is the acoustics, the sound isolation. I mean, it's staggering. You really have next to no noise at all when you're driving around in this car, whether the way the car's cutting through the wind, just with such a low drag coefficient. It's one of the amazing things about with like the new door handle design and mirror design and just the styling of the car, the way it cuts through the air, the way you just really don't hear anything. Of course, with the acoustics and the isolation of the actual glass in the vehicle. Then just, of course, overall ride quality. I mean, from how the suspension reacts, and I mean, it's amazing. You ride over bumps and stuff in an S-Class, and it's like our roads are perfect, and they're anything but. So we got a nice little patch here to kind of try out some of the handling of the car, and of course, as always, we have a dynamic select feature, which no longer do we have the silver switch here, but we now have that also all touch capable, so we can hop onto this screen and change how the car drives. See how it performs in one of the sports settings here. You know, S-Class is a pretty big car, so when you're talking about driving around in a vehicle and wanting some handling for, you know, a vehicle that's over 200 inches long, it's one of the great things is, I mean, this is like a small limo. You know, in a Mercedes world, this is quite literally like their limousine, and it's amazing having a car this big and with it handling this well, and a lot of great driver's assistance features for any kind of roads that you're on. A car that we're driving right now, we're noticing everything from the lane keeping assist here, the blind spot assist that's monitoring both of my mirrors, of course collision prevention assist up front, which is of course now our active brake system. It'll let me know if I'm approaching something too fast, if there's, you know, anything hops out in front of me or a car gets too close to the front of me or something of that nature. Steering assist, which can help me steer. We'll try out a few of these autonomous features too once we get back on the highway. You can be, you know, notified now if something happens to your car, God forbid it gets bumped into, or, you know, parking damage detection. And something I think is pretty cool is they have a new toll system even built into this car. It actually has a receiver built into the vehicle now where you can use this for toll roads all over the United States. Yet another industry first amongst others in this vehicle. Another very, very cool one safety-wise, front facing rear airbags. So that is another big one for the new S-Class. This is definitely one of those cars that loves to introduce brand new safety technology with the Mercedes lineup, similar to how the E-Class did back in 17 with some new, pre-safe sound and pre-safe impulse side, of course also both included on the new S-Class. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help?
I'm hot.
I'm reducing the temperature to 68 degrees.
It's amazing all the commands and everything that this vehicle can automatically understand now. So speaking of how all the touch controls have changed over here on the display, there's a few other areas where they've changed some of your controls, including this head unit up top. You'll notice it's laid out a little bit differently. Everything you could do in the past is still there, but it all functions just a little bit different than past generations. So for one thing, your sunroof control now, no longer do you have a physical switch, but you now have a touch switch control here where you can quite literally slide your finger across this to open the sunroof. You can slide your finger back the other way to stop it or to close the glass. You can also, of course, slide again to close the roller sunshade that you have up top. And you can close the back with a touch icon here as well. So lots of neat ways to control stuff now with all the new touch buttons. Of course, lights can be controlled via touch here. And of course, you still have your emergency services here behind the SOS button. Included free for 5 years on any of the 2019 to 2021 Mercedes-Benz vehicles. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Open the roller sunshade.
I'm opening the roller sun blind on the sliding sunroof.
Pretty cool when you got a voice assistant that can just, handle all this stuff for you. One of my favorite new things is this ability to change the overall display. You'll remember from some past iterations we had a classic and a sport and a progressive style on some of the new cars. We have, of course, a few more with the new S-Class. We still have this classic Mercedes gauge layout. One of my favorites is this new exclusive layout. I think it really gives it kind of a nice classy touch with the white gauges. There is a new sport menu, which of course puts your RPMs and everything right in the center, gives you G-force information and so on. Understated, kind of a nice simple layout with the clock and the speedometer over on the left. There is a new full screen nav menu, which is really, really awesome. And this is something that we're going to show off too with the 3D instrument cluster, another industry first. So just turned up the seat ventilator here, and holy cow, it's amazing how fast this rapid seat heating and rapid heat and the rapid seat ventilation is pretty unbelievable. So some of the cool things with the new lane keep assist on here is, even if I don't have the lane keeping assist active, which is how it's set right now, it's letting me know currently that I'm in the green, that I'm in the lane on both sides. And if I start to drift out, I have the option to leave it how it is now, where it won't actually pull me back in the lane or beep at me or vibrate the wheel, but it'll just go ahead and let me know digitally with the red line that I'm starting to go outside of the lane that I probably shouldn't be. Active lane keeping assist, of course, as well. So if I start to get too close to the lane, you'll notice it pull up in here and it's actually starting to steer me back into the lane appropriately. Very nice on a long drive. Mercedes can help you drive it. You, of course, still have your blind spot monitoring, as you see, active right here on the side, which is going to let me know if somebody's in my blind spot on the screen, on the mirror. So with the driver's assistance, in addition to the capabilities with the lane keeping assist and the blind spot assist, the active brake assist in the front of the car, we of course have a radar-based adaptive cruise control system in the front, our newest generation of the Distronic system, where it can, of course, kind of play follow the leader with the car in front of you, adjust the steering so to actually help steer the wheel for you as you're driving, as well as sort of still monitoring all those active lane keeping, active blind spot assist features. Something else that's really cool is the route-based speed adaptation, where it can actually see turns and sort of cornering upcoming on your navigation display and adjust the cruise control speed based on the turns, which is very cool. We of course have biometric fingerprint scanning now in the new S-Class, which makes for a very nice, cool way to activate your own user profile on the screen. Simply get in the car, scan your fingerprint, it knows who you are, it knows your exact driver settings, so all of your seat memory, all your radio presets, your phone menus, your nav destinations, even things like your light color, your massage settings, your sound settings, everything save with your profile. Oh, that's amazing. That's using rest feature right now. The engine actually isn't running, that's just using the rest feature to roll. That's straight up coasting mode right now. Now the engine's on. That's amazing. See, I'm glad we get to check this out as well, because the way the new sort of rest feature is and the coasting capability of this EQ boost, we were just rolling up to a stop sign and the vehicle wasn't even using the engine. It literally had the engine turned off, not using any gas at all. And as soon as I came to a complete stop and then, you know, re-accelerated to turn the engine off, I mean, that is awesome. It's so smooth the way this EQ boost and automatic start-stop system is now on the new S-Class. Of course, every brand new Mercedes-Benz S-Class, same as everything else brand new in the Mercedes lineup, features a 4-year, 50,000-mile comprehensive warranty, with extended Mercedes-Benz warranties also being offered. And a few other rather cool things they incorporated into the new S-Class here. We have a wireless charging pad, a nice sort of extra large size wireless charging pad down here for all the new phones. We have NFC capability, so of course now the vehicle has the capability to see when there's, you know, phones in the car, and you can have a phone resting there and have the Mercedes Me Connect system all synced up with the vehicle. Also too, your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto systems now are wireless, so no cable needed. You do have wireless, both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Speaking though of wires, if you want to use a cable for some of these features, you have 2 USB-C ports up front. You have 2 USB-C ports in the center console. You have 2 USB-C ports in the back. And you have 2 USB-C ports in the back console. So you have 8 in addition to all those wireless features. So we of course offer 3D surround sound system here at Mercedes. We offer 4D surround sound system. You're going to notice you now have both offered on a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. So you of course have the 3D surround sound system standard. You have the 4D surround sound system as a optional upgrade, which this particular one does feature. Very awesome for all sorts of music. Very cool capabilities now with the new sound profiles. Resonators in the seat are pretty awesome. I can actually feel the sub frequencies that you sort of don't really hear, but you kind of feel. You can feel them now in the resonators on these seats. You'll notice the omnidirectional tweeters that spiral out of the corners here on the front corners of the car. Speakers in the ceiling, speakers in the center, speakers in the back, of course. So lots of very cool stuff there. All sorts of great leathers offered on the new S-Class, some new trims. This particular one that we're sitting in here has one of the exclusive Napa leathers with the diamond stitch pattern. Of course, have the leather and the wood options on the wheel. You have the exclusive diamond stitch Napa leather on the seats in the front and the back. Leather on all sorts of surfaces. I mean, on the dash, on the center console, of course on the armrests along the side here. I love this interior. This is the Flowing Lines piano lacquer, where you have sort of like a pearl inlay on the piano lacquer itself. We of course offer lots of different interior trims, so we have some various woods offered, metals, various different styles depending on how you want to match it up with your interior trim. But it's just such a nice, classic, sophisticated feel to the inside. If I press the parking camera button here, notice anything different about the new cameras? How cool is this? So this, of course, is our surround camera that we've had on some past iterations, but never really looked like this. It's amazing now with these camera angles, how sort of ultra wide all these angles are. We can quite literally now move around on the screen in real time and see various aspects all around the vehicle. It is really cool now, all the angles, all the things you can see on this display. And of course, as we're driving the car, we can pull a lot of this information up in real time. So here I'll go back to the, if you will, the kind of the main display, which if I just hit the camera button and I don't move around on the screen, you'll notice it's following the car, just giving me kind of a straight on impression
but again, at any point you can move around on this display if you so choose. Now, of course, this also works hand in hand with the parking assist, which if I hit the parking assist feature, you'll notice it engages this sort of secondary look where it says it is searching for a parking space. So as always, we just drive around and go past some parking spots, and you'll notice it starts to see some spots. Notice too, it sees spots side by side now. That's something that's kind of cool. So the new parking assist system has the ability to read lines in addition to reading cars. So it actually, using the stereo cameras, can see now when you have multiple spots open side by side. So you can see they've made some rather cool improvements to the parking assist as well. Now I can simply choose the parking spot, and I can ask it what direction I want to move around. So notice I can spin the car back and forth if I want it to pull in or back in on the screen. Simply press the button here, and you can engage the park. And you're going to notice it tells you to check the surroundings and to still look out and watch, but you'll notice it's giving you these green indicator lines to tell you that it's parking for you. So right now I'm not doing anything. This is all happening with the steering wheel and the gas and brake pedal on the vehicle. Now, it's still recommended to kind of keep your, foot near the brake pedal just in case. You can always slow this down, so you'll notice if I do brake, I can stop this temporarily or slow this down. But the vehicle's doing a great job. It's putting it where I asked it to, so I'm letting it do its thing right now. And it's going to start backing me into the parking spot here. And it looks like it's actually going to straighten itself out because it wants to be even in the spot. It's one of my favorite things on the parking assist on a Mercedes is it actually wants to kind of be a perfectionist and get it perfectly in the spot. So it knows to put itself in a drive, and how cool is that? It's going to line itself up perfectly in the parking spot here for us. It's a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. It has to do it right. It's... And you'll watch it pull itself right into the parking spot for us. And that's it. It's into the parking spot, and again, you can take over at any time. You can let it back in as much as you want it to. You can take over if I move the steering wheel or something of that nature. See how now I'm in full control of the car. I can press park, I can press whatever, and it is now fully engaged in my control again. So it's one of the cool things too with the parking assist on a Mercedes-Benz is if at any point you don't feel comfortable or you want to take control, simply tug on the steering wheel or engage it yourself. It was already perfectly in the spot, so I just stopped it. It worked. All right, so just to show off a few additional really cool features that we couldn't show off as well inside, and just since every S-Class is equipped a little bit differently, there's a few things we want to show off in this car specifically. So to go through on one of the menus under the comfort settings, which of course includes seat kinetics and ambient lighting. A couple other things you can do, which this particular one has, are the massage settings and energizing comfort. So under the massage settings, something super cool on this car is you actually have a whole bunch of different styles of massage to choose from. There are tons of available massages all here on the screen where it actually gives you 10 different massage programs, and you can walk through any single one of these massage programs for driver and passenger seat. Whole new seat design, whole new massage program concept, and you can adjust the intensity of the massages as well on screen. So if you and the passenger wanted to have different types of massage, you can simply press play on whatever massage you want the driver to have, on whatever massage you want the passenger to have. Again, you can adjust intensity level and so on, all right here on the display. Very cool stuff. Again, lots of different programs built in. There's these new wave massage, deep waves, deep workout, and then there's also specific massage programs designed around just the backrest or just the cushion as well, if that's what you're after. Additionally, these hot relaxing massages are kind of designed around the hot stone massages of past S-Classes, where it actually works with the heating of the seat to really give you a very cool massage feel. And of course the seat kinetics, which are standard equipment that we have touched on a little bit on some of the newer models. However, this with the multi-contour also gives you the full on-screen lumbar control. Very cool feature now of Mercedes-Benz user experience cars is how you can quite literally fine-tune the lumbar of both seats anywhere you can think of on screen, including all of your shoulder settings, side bolster settings, and of course, as I touched on, the dynamic multi-contouring where you have individual levels for both seats. And that's going to give you the ability when you go around bends and corner and stuff where you're actually going to feel the seat bolsters inflate and deflate on both seats. Very cool. Now something else on this particular model is with the ambient lighting. They've done a little bit more now than in past iterations. We of course still have the 64 colors. You'll notice that the way the lighting is inlaid into the cabin has changed a little bit. So we have this new active ambient lighting where, for one thing, there's lights in a lot more spots. There are lights all the way around the top section of the dash curling around the cabin. There are lights below the trim, lights running out beyond where the screen is, in the wireless charging pad, all running to the rear seats as well, which is very cool, even behind the seats, lighting up and around where the speaker is on the central head unit. In addition to the 64 colors where you can select monochromatic menus, you have the multicolor feature. And what I love about this is now the way it quite literally, with the bands of lights, you have these individual effects where it will actually cycle the light color throughout the cabin. Very, very cool stuff. Makes it feel like a limo inside, where you can literally choose different color schemes. Of course, the energizing comfort works with all these settings in one, where you have several different options to choose from. You can play any of these energizing comfort menus and you will get a certain feel to the massage, to the seat settings, to the light settings. So these are very, very fun to kind of toy around with and see what all the settings feel like, from the freshness setting that we just tried here that turned on the ventilated seats and gives me a very specific programming to how it it's be great on like a summer day. This is kind of a nice feel right here. So a day like today, this is perfect. And you got your warmth setting, vitality, joy. So there's a whole bunch of really, really cool menus on here where, again, it's changing everything up in the car based on a certain mood. I just noticed right there too, this has the air balance, so you can smell with the fragrance and everything coming out of the cabin as well, which is pretty cool. All right, something else very, very cool now. We have an all new augmented reality heads-up display and 3-dimensional instrument cluster. Now this is very, very cool. So in the center console, you'll notice in the upper left, if you have the 3D instrument cluster option, you can simply select the 3D icon, and what's going to happen is this instrument cluster is going to change how it displays. So I have it up right now on the screen in one of the modes, and this makes it look very, very different, where when I click, with 3D mode on, it's now going to use eye tracking, and it's going to actually follow where I am facing in the cabin in terms of how this screen views. So if my head's to the left, if my head's to the right, if I'm a little farther forward, if I'm a little bit farther back, it's actually moving according to where my eyes, I don't even have to really totally turn my head, I can just kind of adjust my eyes and you're noticing it's actually moving with my eyes. Something else is within these menus. So like for example here, I'll pull up the full screen nav. You notice this can do this with the entire instrument cluster screen, where it's quite literally moving around based on how I'm looking at it.
You know, I don't even know if I covered half the stuff. It's amazing how many features are on the new S-Class. So please stop in, please see us, please check one out for yourself. It's amazing the number of advancements, the number of new pieces of technology, safety, performance, efficiency, some of the great new stuff on the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. So please come in one, check out one for yourself. If you want to see what the Mercedes-Benz brand is all about, if you want to see what the S-Class is all about, please stop by and see us. Come by Bud Smail Motor Cars on Route 30 in Greensburg, or visit us on the web in the meantime at smailmercedesbenz.com.